Hello and welcome to JoyNews Today. I am Emefa Akosia Adati. The bulletin is live from our studios here in Kokomlimli and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Coming up this afternoon, controversy over betting tax. We fact-check claims by the erstwhile NPP administration, even as committees of parliament get ready to start work on considering the estimates contained in the 2025 budget. Also, we're in court on the disputed Kejetia Parliamentary seat as the Supreme Court gets ready to rule on High Court decision. We've also got taps on former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah, who is also back in court this morning. Also, traders eagerly await continuation of Kejetia Phase 2 project as government negotiates with IMF to allow completion of more than 50 projects stalled due to bilateral debt restructuring. We have business, sports and showbiz in this package. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us this afternoon. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. First, this afternoon, the committees of Parliament have been tasked to consider the budgetary estimates for the various ministries, departments and agencies following the presentation of the 2025 budget. This morning, the Second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Amaku-Esiama, formally referred to budget statements and estimates to all the committees of Parliament who will hold hearings and report to the House for a vote. But the minority insists enough copies have not yet been distributed to their site. Now let's take you to Parliament where Kweku Asante is on standby will bring us details on this. Kweku, well, tell me, what really has the majority leader been responding to? What has he been saying in response to this?
Well, yesterday when the finance minister did present the budget statement, ordinarily, what is expected to have happened would have been that the speaker would have referred the estimates and the budget to the various ministries, for the various MDAs, to the committees of Parliament to consider and report. It appears that was not done in the heat of the moment yesterday. And so this morning, Second Deputy Speaker Andrew Amaku-Esiama, who was presiding, did make that directive for the committees of Parliament to consider the estimates of the various MDAs and a report back to Parliament for consequent approval and some discussion to be taking place. But right after he made this directive, the minority chief whip Frank Anodompre was on his feet, insisting that his side did not have enough copies of the budget. And the budget is not simply the statement the minister reads, it's the entire booklet that contains the estimates and real budget line items, among others. And so his concerns were that these matters have not been fully made available to the NPP side in Parliament. And in his view, even some NDC MPs also did not have that. And so they expected that all these documents will be made available to them before the consideration will begin. The majority leader has been responding, assuring that he's making the relevant arrangement to ensure that by close of day today, every single member of Parliament will get a document so that when they get into committee, they can do a good job by considering these estimates.
Well, again, the finance minister had mentioned that bills seeking to repeal some taxes will be laid today. Is there indication of that?
Well, yesterday on PM Express, Dr. Cecilia Dapaah did indicate that the taxes that he has earmarked for abolition in the 2025 budget, e-levy, betting tax, and a number of them, the way they will be repealed is that they would have to come to Parliament by way of a bill to repeal or amend the existing law. And so he gave the indication that today it may be ready. I've seen your other paper, nothing of that sort has been listed yet, but we expect that if it does come, another paper then do maybe printed, and then that will be done. Early in the morning, the majority leader himself was around. He has left. We expect that some of these conversations will be had so that the bills will be put before the House. They will be dealt with expeditiously before the House will go on break around 28th of April. The expectation is that all these bills will ultimately be dealt with for the 28th of April, 28th of March, I should say. The bills will then properly be scrapped, and then the government will stop collecting them from, say, 1st April.
Well, Kweku, before I let you go, the minority said they don't have enough copies, as you have just been addressing. But what's the practice usually? a day after the budget presentation. What's the practice?
Ordinarily, the members of parliament are all expected to get a copy of the statement. That is what, in theory, at least, will have to happen. But almost every year, there are concerns from the opposition side that they have not gotten enough copies yet. I remember something similar from last year, the last 2 years. But it takes some time. In fact, at some point last year or last 2 years, the claims were that the government was simply trying to hide the budget from the NDC side to delay them from doing their scrutiny. But ultimately, when they get into committee to begin consideration, they would have to get copies before they can do any job on this on this estimate. So it is not really it's not really new that the copies have not been made available, but it doesn't take some time. We expect that by the end of this week, because at the end of this week, this weekend, I should say, MPs are likely to go on a post-budget workshop out of Accra. Around that time, all of them should have copies of their budget statement.
I was hoping to let you go of this one, but you recall that yesterday the immediate past finance minister indicated that the withholding 10% tax they were not collected. I won't say that was not implemented, because then legally that would mean differently. Have you heard or have you picked up anything on this session in Parliament at all?
We expect that a lot of debate will be had on this when the debate itself starts. We expect that will be next week, when MPs will begin to debate the budget statement. The NPP side will make their case, and the NDC side will. A couple of the NDC MPs that I've spoken to, they say that, listen, the former minister is simply not being truthful. And that there was, in fact, indeed 10% withholding tax on bet winnings that was collected. And so the finance minister is simply mixing the items up, and that he's just clutching on straws, and it's not something they want to give him much attention.
Right. Kweku, thank you for bringing us the updates from Parliament. Away from that, traders at Kejetia Market in Kumasi are asking government to complete the stalled second phase of the Kejetia Market redevelopment project. The market project is part of some 55 projects stalled due to the restructuring of bilateral creditors' debt undertaken by the previous government. Government in the 2025 budget statement assured of negotiations with the IMF to allow the continuation of these or those stalled projects, which are estimated to take a minimum of 12 years for completion. If funds not released to them, President of the Federation of Kejetia Traders Association, Nana Akwesi-Pepra, says the traders are eagerly waiting the completion of the market to ease congestion in the market center.
Based on the presentation by the finance minister, he made us to believe that it is a foundation upon which we are going to build a resounding economy. No, because there are some areas with which he was not specific with figures attached to what he intends to do about it. That's why I said.
For example?
For example, when you talk about the continuation of the Kejetia Phase 2 market.
That is why in my intro I said he was not categorical about it. But go ahead, let me.
That's why I said yes and no, because I wanted to see specific amount being dedicated for the continuation of the project. With that, he was not specific with numbers.
But again, to be fair, he says that we have about 55 abandoned projects.
If you just say, yes, Kejetia project was one of the abandoned 55 projects because of the
funding,
the debt restructuring program. It had effect on this, and with this year, you are going to tackle it, and you don't give figures to. I would say yes, but what were the actuals that we're going to use to?
What would Kejetia Phase 2 completion do for traders like yourself? You're the president of the federation. What would it do for traders? What would it do for the region?
Well, Dave, it will do a lot, because within the last decade, if you live in Kumasi, if you live within the last decade, you realize that the reconstruction of the Kejetia Phase 1 and Phase 2 has had an effect on trading activities in Kumasi. So after the Phase 1, the expectation was that the Phase 2 will be completed in time, because as we speak now, we all talk about the congestion in the Central Business District. And upon completion, it is going to absorb more than 10,000 traders off the street.
Well, away from that, Finance Minister Dr. Cecilia Dapaah has announced the abolition of the 10% betting tax. Now, the tax introduced in 2022 under President Akufo-Addo's government faced widespread criticism. The move is part of efforts to ease financial burdens and support economic recovery, according to the Finance Minister.
We have programmed the following nuisance taxes for removal in line with our manifesto promise. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on winning from lottery, otherwise known as the betting tax. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy of 1%. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on betting. We will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy of 1%. We will abolish the emission levy, otherwise as in Wusie tax. We will abolish the VAT on motor vehicle insurance policy. Speaker, we will abolish the 1.5% withholding tax on unprocessed gold by small-scale miners. Mr. Speaker, the removal of these taxes will ease the burden on households and improve their disposable income. Right, Honorable Speaker, the removal of these taxes will ease the burden on households and improve their disposable incomes. In addition, it will support business growth and improve tax compliance. Mr. Speaker, Right, Honorable Speaker, the tax refund account has been abused in recent years. In the last 8 years, a study revealed that 29.1 billion Ghana cedis had accrued to the tax refund account.
However, addressing a press conference after the budget presentation, former Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam clarified that the previous government did not implement the withholding tax on betting despite its introduction. Now, that has started a big and huge outrage in the country. But let's engage our lead research and data analyst here, Isaac Kofi Ajay, in the studio. Kofi, I know that you've been fact-checking this. What really did the immediate past finance minister mean to say? Or what was he hoping not to say?
I mean, I think the whole confusion has been around what is called the betting tax, right? And yesterday, categorically, after the budget reading, the former finance minister, Dr. Amin Adam, said that they never collected, he used the word betting tax. But later on, we got some clarification from Dr. Gideon Boako and some others. He himself also put on his Facebook word that he meant the lottery aspect. Now, let's break this down. There is a whole component called the gaming and betting tax. It's a big, bracket that has a number of taxes for the betting industry, which raked in almost 500 million Ghana cedis in 2024. So this is the big industry that fetches the country a lot of money. And the revenue from the betting industry doesn't only come from the withholding taxes. You have other taxes in there. Remember, in the 2023 budgets, the intention of the NPP administration was to introduce what they call the phase one of the gaming and betting, tax. The phase one was called the, gross gaming revenue, which was supposed to be for the industry, the betting companies themselves. They were supposed to pay that as corporate income to the government. Okay. And you had the phase two. Phase one started in May 2023. And phase two was actually commenced in August 2024, which is the betting tax, the withholding on betting winnings, sport
I guess bets. 2024 or 2023?
2023, that was when it started.
2023.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Withholding on sports, betting, sports on betting. If you win anything on sports, we're supposed to withhold or pay some 10% on your withholdings. That is the law that the current administration want to scrap, except maybe they want to explain more and say that we are scrapping the whole betting tax. I mean, if you say betting tax, it's very vague. If you are supposed to possibly say withholding on the winnings or withholdings from the company or the gross gaming revenues that the companies pay to government.
He was quite specific yesterday. He said on withholding tax.
Exactly.
But withholding is also not exclusive to the bettor, but also to company as well.
So it will be interesting. You have to add winnings. If you add winnings, you qualify what you mean. But what we understand is that what the NDC want to scrap, or the current government wants to scrap, is the withholding on the winnings, with the 10% that if you win 100 cedis, you are supposed to pay, let's say, 10%, which is about 10 cedis to government as taxes. Per our checks, the finance minister said that they never collected the betting tax, right? They never collected it. But when we check, this is misleading because, I mean, he has actually come to clarify, but what he said yesterday was misleading.
Okay.
In fact, if you look at the 2024 revenue that, I mean, the Ghana Revenue Authority collected for the betting, tax, the withholdings, I mean, from winnings.
On winnings,
exactly,
yeah?
Winnings. That's about 148 million Ghana cedis. So you cannot say that you didn't collect betting tax. In 2023, actually, it was collected from August. Government got some 51.3 million Ghana cedis. And so it will be misleading for anybody to say that betting tax was never collected. In fact, the whole betting industry rigged in some almost 500 million Ghana cedis as taxes to government. And so the only clarity, or the only outstanding in terms of the phase, is the phase 3, which was supposed to bring on board the lotto operators, right? That was what government found it difficult. According to them, if they were able to bring all the, I think, 1,200 lotto operators, they could rake in some, when we did the math, it was around 1.7 billion Ghana cedis. But they could not bring that because NLA had a concern. And their concern was that, look, there are two sides of the coin. It is the private side and we, the public side, which is the NLA. You find it difficult to regulate the private guys. If you are saying that you are imposing a 10% on winnings, or those who win lotto, it means that you are indirectly going to collapse NLA.
All right.
Because you find it difficult to tackle or to actually license the private guys or bring them into the bracket.
Yeah.
And so if that was what NLA, the concerns they raised, and government said that, okay, let's hold on to that phase 3 of the gaming and betting tax. So the whole confusion has been settled, that there's a whole tax called gaming and betting tax, but under it, you have different tax components. You have the gross gaming revenue, which is taxed to the companies, the betting companies. You have withholdings that the companies paid. In there, you even have pay as you earn. The people that the companies employ, they also have to pay taxes.
Okay.
Withholdings that the companies pay. And then the controversial one, which is the withholdings
on the winnings
that the government has actually
I suspect that following the presentation yesterday, I probably think some Kofi somewhere hoping to bet, and then when the winnings coming as of today, they're hoping that they will not be deducted.
Unfortunately, they will not see it today.
Okay.
The finance minister promised that they will be laying the bill, and in fact, they want that gone. We are hoping that after the appropriation is passed, definitely, maybe if you win some 100 cedis, you'll be able to keep all your 100 cedis or 1,000 cedis if you are very lucky.
You're a champion. Thank you so much. Now, moving on, President John Mahama has scheduled a meeting with CEOs of state-owned enterprises and key entities to strengthen their roles in Ghana's economic growth. The 2022 State Ownership Report by the Finance Ministry revealed that SOEs recorded a cumulative loss of 5.3 billion cedis in 2021, with major institutions like Cocoa Board and ECG posting significant deficits. For more, we're joined on the line by Professor Michael Kwesta-White, Director General of SIGA, which oversees these enterprises. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. So we are learning that you have an invitation by the President to meet him in discussing what the Finance Minister describes as the SOEs going on red. What is this meeting expected to achieve?
Thank you very much. And let me say good afternoon to your viewers. So just a quick correction. The SOR, which is the State Ownership Report, is usually published by SIGA, the State's Interest and Governance Authority.
Right.
And it comes out of rigorous analysis, particularly of the financials of the various SOEs, which culminates into a big report that's normally published annually. Now, it is out of this report that a significant portion of the conversations around our SORs over the weekend and prior to the National Economic Dialogue and the more recent conversations around the performance of SOEs have been had. The president, prior to the election, promised that given what we know from the 2023 state ownership report, which was based on 2022 data, was going to shake up SOEs, realign them, restructure them, and ensure that at a minimum they break even, and at the maximum they make some profits. And within the first few months in his administration, he had decided to activate this. So the meeting tomorrow between the president and CEOs of what is called the specified entities is to kickstart this conversation. And there is a portion of this that is focusing on a deep dive study of about 16 SOEs that have significant impact on our economy.
Just give us a bit clarity on the specified entities. What are these ones?
So SIGA has some regulatory and oversight responsibility for what we call specified entities. And specified entities includes the SOEs, which is the state enterprises, state-owned enterprises, then JVCs, which are joint venture companies, and then other state entities, which may not necessarily be SOEs or joint venture companies. And so these three categories of institutions or agencies in the country are the ones that are referred to as specified entities. And the meeting tomorrow is to enable the CEOs of all these entities to listen carefully to the president's directive, his vision, and how he intends to literally give them their marching orders and so that people are accountable. Keep in mind, SIGA also signs performance contracts with many of these entities. And so we are hoping that, given that many of these CEOs are new in office, tomorrow we'll offer them an opportunity to socialize with some of the operations of SIGA and also to be receptive to what it is that SIGA is expected to do to ensure that we improve corporate governance, efficiency, and also enhance the operations of our SOEs and other entities. Despite
the challenges that we have recorded, some have also recorded some boosts, have they not?
Yes, the trend I have seen since being here is that SIGA's work with the SOEs is gradually beginning to yield some positive results. We have seen that some of the persistent loss makers are declining the losses they've been making. In other words, the losses are reducing, which means that they are gradually making moves towards beginning to break even, although, frankly speaking, I think it's a long way away. And then we have also seen that quite a number of them are now beginning to turn in profits. I think State Housing turned in profits quite recently. And so SIGA's operations appears to be putting them on notice. And keep in mind, again, that SIGA usually have these award schemes. SIGA usually demands from them quarterly reports on various aspects of their operations, and these are used in preparing the report that spells out their performance and so on and so forth. So I think that the story can be different when we put our feet firmly on the ground and commit to the values of corporate governance.
Well, I hear you say that our feet, but we'll be looking at your feet even deeper. Despite the president's vision, before I let you go, what would be your final words and what would be your objective for SIGA?
Well, let me say this. Look, if private individuals can set up a company, right, or companies, run them and make profits, there is no reason why companies that are established in the name of the state should not make profit. And so I will encourage all my colleagues who have been lucky to be made CEOs of the different entities across this country, that we have a responsibility to prove the president right, that the choices he made in us was a good choice for Ghana, and also to demonstrate that given the opportunity, state-owned enterprises can actually make profit, improve their efficiency, and also make sure that they provide good quality services to Ghanaians overall.
Wish you all the best, and we'll be looking forward to that meeting tomorrow and updates that will come out of that meeting. Thank you so much for talking to us. Now, away from that, President John Dramani Mahama says government is considering partnership with the private sector and healthcare entrepreneurs to complete stalled Agenda 111 projects. He knows that these facilities could be managed over time in collaboration with the Ghana Health Service. Speaking during the presentation of credentials by the Italian ambassador, he emphasized that government remains open to discussions on the initiative.
Ghanaians have a very high regard for our public. I mean, when children learning about the Akosombo Dam, we heard about in Pregilo, the Italian engineering company that built the dam. And in later years, when our second dam was built, the Pong Dam, I mean, we heard about Sadelmi and all of them. And so we're all quite familiar with Italian engineering and technology. And we think that it's an area where we can continue to exchange knowledge and technical know-how. I'm particularly happy about the initiative in agriculture because that is one of the main focuses of this administration. We think that one of the first things any responsible government must do must be able to provide food security for its people. We've had inflation go up to 54%. It is now dropping gradually at 22%, and we're hoping that it will come down further. But one of the main drivers of our inflation has been supply of food inflation. And so if we're able to expand on production, not only producing the food, but also processing and marketing, we need to look at the whole value chain. And that's why this initiative you're talking about is very important, because if we can get the technology and partner Italy and Ghana to produce food from the farm right to processing to the market, I think that that is the focus our government is aiming at. And so
let's go to court now. On day 2 of her testimony in the ongoing criminal trial of a former House Help's former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah has told the court she is unable to tell how much each of the accused persons stole from her storage room. The former Sanitation Minister said this when she was cross-examined by lawyers for the second accused person in the ongoing trial, whose name was only given as Sarah. Sarah, at the tail end of today's proceedings, broke down in tears and interjected the court proceedings when Cecilia Dapaah claimed ownership of jewelry boxes, sobbing as well. Now, Sarah says belonging to her. Lateef Idrisu was in court for us and joins us with details. Lateef, this is quite curious. Why was the former minister unable to tell the total amount that was stolen or was taken from her storage room?
Separately from 210,000 United States dollars, some 300,000 euros, and some 350,000 Ghana cedis were stolen by these house helps, allegedly, by this former Minister of Sanitation. That these were the amounts that have been stolen from her storage room. She has told that to the court. What she is unable to tell the court, at least from today's proceedings, is how much each of the house helps stole from her storage room. When she was confronted by a lawyer for the second accused person, she was unable to apportion a quantum of monies to each of the 7 accused persons who are standing trial at the High Court. All she told the court in this regard was that, well, the monies were stolen over time, and so we do not know who stole how much. And I'm quoting her, we do not know who stole what. She is unable to tell, but she knows that at least some 350,000 Ghana cedis stolen, some $250,000 stolen, separately some 200,000 United States dollars stolen, separately some 300,000 euros stolen separately, and the jewelry running into tens and thousands of Ghana cedis. We are talking about diamond, gold, jewelry. So for that, she's able to tell, but she's unable to explain to the court how much each of the individuals stole from her safe.
Lateef, that's some money you're mentioning over there, but tell us what really got the second accused person emotional to the extent that she confronted the former minister in open court?
Oh yeah, so it was getting to the tail end of the proceedings today, and then there was a disclosure made by Madam Cecilia Dapaah when this case started at the police station. Today, the lawyer for the second accused person sought to use that in court. In fact, when he tried it, the state prosecutor intervened and then he did the proper thing by tendering that into evidence through Madam Cecilia Dapaah. It was after that when he asked Madam Cecilia Dapaah about what she could tell from the paper she was holding. She said, these are jewelry boxes. And the lawyer for the second accused person asked her whether the jewelry boxes in picture belong to her or someone else. Madam Cecilia Dapaah told the court that those were her personal jewelry boxes. At that point, we heard some noises from where the accused persons were seated. Then we noticed the second accused person stood up in open court, sobbing and making a case directly to the face of the former sanitation minister that these jewelry boxes she claimed belongs to her is untrue, and that she bought those jewelry boxes by herself at Abelinkpe. And we know Abelinkpe is where the former sanitation minister lives. So now there is a contentious jewelry boxes here in court regarding this criminal trial. The case is back in court on the 24th of this month, and I'm sure that lawyer for the second accused person is going to go deep on this particular subject, because now if the second accused person is able to make the case that in fact the jewelry boxes belong to her and not the former minister of sanitation, the credibility of the former minister is now going to be questioned, and that could affect her case going forward. MFA.
Thank you so much, Lateef, for bringing up. Quickly, are you able to give us a wrap on what happened yesterday in just a few seconds in court?
Okay, so yesterday was the first day Madam Cecilia Dapaah mounted the witness box to give evidence, where she, in her witness statements or evidence in chief, she made some declaration for the first time that in fact the house helps stole from her on separate occasions 200,000 United States dollars, 210,000 United States dollars, 300,000 euros, and then some 350,000 Ghana cedis, all of which were stolen separately on separate occasions, and reason why she's unable to tell the court today how much each of the accused persons actually stole from her.
Right. Lateef, thank you so much for bringing us that story from court. Now, away from court, the Parents-Teacher Association of the Kpando Senior High School has handed over 4 projects contributing to the infrastructure development of the school. The projects, which included a classroom block and 3 32-unit staff bungalows, among others, were initiated to enhance the academic activities and performances of the students. There's more in the following report.
The Kpando Senior High School, established about 70 years ago, has been struggling to meet accommodation needs of the school community. To help lessen the plight, the Parent-Teacher Association initiated some projects with funding from the dues of members. 3 units of 2-bedroom apartments were constructed to accommodate teachers. Dr. Nicholas Darko is the PTA chairperson.
So we came into office, but we were not operating, and we couldn't tell parents to pay money. I see that was not enough. We wanted to move forward, and COVID-19 came. And I see that was not enough. Government agreed that PTAs should operate, but there was confusion. And so we really had it tough. But through it all, I would say today we have been able to achieve certain things you will see and be happy about. We have achieved so many things. I have a list of 20 items, and that is not all. 20 things. So later I will mention it to you, but for now we want to be very brief. We have 4 important projects we want to commission in the name of PTA. You have done it, so clap for yourself. However, it took only 60% of us to support. 40% never participated, and it's a shame.
Phase 1 of a 12-unit classroom block initiated by the association has also been completed and in use. At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the association also established a purified water production unit to serve the school and community.
A clarity on that unit is 3 2 units separately. Now, away from the Kpando Senior High School, in our Ghana Month series today, we take you to Mbampe here, a town whose name meaning Women do not like poverty tells a story of struggle and survival, but beyond the name lies a deeper tale of resilience. Anat Sabit has more.
In Ghana, names of towns and villages are mostly given by the first settlers in those communities and are often drawn from their life experiences. But few are as bold as Mampenya, which literally means women do not like poverty. For decades, this community, which lies along the Techiman-Sunyani highway, had its name derived from a bitter experience of the man who first settled here. Today, we are here to uncover the defiant history behind this extraordinary name, which have left many travelers and visitors wondering what could have informed the unique name of this predominantly farming community. Opeinana Amuabafo is a resident and a former assemblyman here. He tells me what he knows about the man who first settled here. What I know about it is that the man who first settled here was from Kobo. He was from the Nsanye family and was called Aduyao. Openi Aduyao, who then had 2 wives, went through lots of difficulties with his farming trade, subjecting him to extreme hardships. This led to his 2 wives leaving him because they both abhorred poverty. He came with 2 wives, but seeing how tough life became, both wives left him. His friends and family started inquiring about the whereabouts of his wives. He would then reply by saying, "You know, women don't like poverty." Hence the name Mampinya, which means women do not like poverty. To the women of this community, what does the community's interesting name mean to them? A motivation to fight off poverty, or do the opposite? Mami Ayisi Japa shares her thoughts.
I thought my team said my impehia, and I said, they might cry or say Bampehia.
It is true that women do not like poverty. What happened earlier has come to stay, but that doesn't mean that we should sit idle for poverty to overtake us.
And still, we insist that Mbampe here. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, Pius Kojabaka will bring you business. Please stay.
Good afternoon to you and a warm welcome to Business on JoyNews Today. With the Minister of Finance, Abna Sari, has criticized the government's budget, calling it disappointing. She argues that the government has failed to show a clear commitment to reducing spending, especially with total expenditure expected to reach 291 billion cedis by the end of the year.
After telling Ghanaians that based on President Mohamed Sona, that you are going to come in with a Jumera, come in with coming with a whole lot of things. What did we see? We did not see much, but for no reason we saw an escalation in appropriation. In 2024, where they claimed the economy was in ICU, in 2024, where we had an election, and so government expenditure went up, certainly because we needed to fund fully the independent government institutions, we needed to fund fully EC to enable EC come up with the elections. Our appropriation was 250 billion Ghana cedis. What are we seeing today? 290 billion Ghana cedis in appropriation. And for what, we really cannot tell. Meanwhile, the Ghana Cares program, the Youth Starts program, all these programs that benefited the youth, benefited small businesses to enable them turn the economy around. I mean, what did we see? They have taken all the funding from these people. Yet they have increased allocation by 290 billion, appropriation by 290 billion. We want to find out why the reason, why they have done it that way. But I believe that once we get hold of the actual numbers, we will be able to tell. Again, the minister said that they have taken out COVID-19 levy and E-levy. A total of COVID-19 and E-levy is more than 3.8 billion. He says they've tweaked the tax refund account, and so they are decreasing by 200 basis points the amount of money that goes in there. But one may ask, what do we use the tax refund account for? The tax refund account is used to refund traders or people who have done their inputs, outputs, VATs, and government needs to refund them. So if you are telling us that you are taking 3.8 billion out of the tax refund account, what are you telling people? They should pass on the cost to traders or what? So clearly we're going to see an increase in prices, because if they cannot get back their refund as a result of the huge cuts in the tax refund account, that is also going to affect prices of goods and services.
Meanwhile, ranking member on Parliament's Economy and Development Committee, Kejetia Nkrumah, is accusing government of introducing new taxes in the 2025 budget.
My worst fears have been confirmed. Remember, we said that we could get the sense that they want to remove some of the taxes and then they'll reintroduce taxes at the back. They've introduced 4 taxes in this budget. First of all, they have increased the taxes on the mining, the growth and sustainability levy. They've increased it from 1% to 3%. Secondly, they have reimposed it generally for all the other categories from 2025 to 2028. Number 3, they have introduced VAT on non-life and non-motor insurance. He hid it in the English that they have excluded motor insurance, but they have introduced it on non-life and so property, marine, all of those ones. They are now going to charge VAT on it. And then number 4, they've introduced one more tax. As we go through, I'll draw your attention. But they've introduced 4 new taxes in this new budget.
Some will say that hasn't something got to give in for another thing?
We said what has to give is the expenditure cuts. The appropriation for last year, I told you, look at the numbers. The appropriation for last year was 250 billion. The appropriation for this year is 290 billion. Where is the cut? Does 290 look like it's lower than 250? So what is giving? What is giving?
Are you surprised, worried, or disappointed?
It is my worst fears have been confirmed. Then rather, the key things that people were looking for, unemployment. You didn't hear any major unemployment approach or unemployment curing approach in this budget.
That's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Bakadar. Will be at 1 p.m. with the marketplace.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Antuma Yabuato. First story, Jamaican reggae stars Dwayne Stevenson and Kejetia Hill took center stage at this year's Kuchoko Roots Festival in Accra, delivering not just electrifying performances, but also powerful insights on the state of reggae and dancehall. While Dwayne Stevenson highlighted the challenges facing dancehall sustainability, Kejetia Hill emphasized the need to preserve reggae's core message despite its evolution. Amele Jesu has more in the following report.
The Kuchoko Roots Festival, held at La Pleasure Beach in Accra over the weekend, brought together reggae enthusiasts and artists from Ghana, Jamaica, and beyond for a night of powerful performances and cultural exchange. Artists like Ghana's own Daddy Bosco, Top Girl Rena, Akle, Burkina Faso's Zedmo, among others, graced the stage with their talent. Among the standout voices were legendary Jamaican reggae singer Dwayne Stevenson and Kejetia Hill, son of Joseph Hill of Culture fame. Known for his soulful and socially conscious reggae music, Dwayne Stevenson reflected on the current state of dancehall, a genre that has long worked alongside reggae but is now facing crisis.
Though I never lived, I was mindful of what he taught me, so now I beg and plead. Oh Father, you rescued me out of this. Barely made it along life's road, opened my life for dark. Was the light. Oh.
Chaos doesn't build. I remember years ago when, Afrobeat was chaos. There was all them gangster Afrobeat and whatever. And the minute they got rid of that, then the music just took off. You know, so for me, dancehall is going through a phase right now with the young people, and just hopefully they can shake it and get back on track, because I'm sure even they can see the fact that most of them don't last more than like 9 months right now, you know, because all the same names that has been calling about from like the 80s or 90s, those are still the top players, which is very unfortunate, because by now you should have some younger names right in between. You know, and that's not happening. So I think it's just a phase. They'll find their place in time.
Kejetia Hill, stepping into his father Joseph Hill's footsteps, echoed the importance of staying true to reggae's core mission.
My demons is reggae music, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see the music evolve, but we cannot forget where we're coming from, or else we will never know where we're heading. So young people, please, don't forget the reggae music. You might say, yo, it's old, me can't dance and rare. No. Reggae music is not about dancing, it's about teaching. It's about the message. And until we understand that, yeah, the message will never change. No matter how the beats and everything change, but my message will never change for my people, which is peace, love, harmony. That's my ultimate goal.
The sentiment of both artists highlight a broader conversation within reggae and dancehall circles. The Kuchoko Roots Festival proved to be more than just a celebration of music. It was a call to action for artists and fans alike to reflect on the future of these influential genres.
Meanwhile, Jamaican reggae star Kejetia Jr. Culture Hill has sent a strong message to Ghanaian dancehall heavyweights Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale, urging them to steer clear of the gangster lifestyle and focus solely on their music.
Well, what I could tell Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale, you're a musician. Musician and gangster life never mix. You're a public figure. Stop and think of what you're doing. And you know what? Don't make the almighty dollar get too head, you know. Because that's the problem. They get too rich too quick, so they don't understand how to deal with it. Stop and it's one. Need to stop and come back to reality. Because you guys are very influential in Africa. And if you start any kind of shiggity, it's going to roll over to your audience. And then it's going to become more than you really want it to be. I've seen it before. With Bounty Killer and Beanie Man, Vibes Cartel and Movado, Shabba Ranks and Ninja Man. That was before any of these cats were born. They might see me and be like, oh, he's a young boy. No, I'm closer to 50. I'm not young. I just scare myself because I only got one life. But if you're making money, and this goes out to Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale, make on the money, treating the people good, don't buy no guns, because that's what the next problem is. You buy guns with the money that you work hard for. Be careful, because it will come to your doorstep. And when it comes to your doorstep, it will not be nice. So if you're gonna do music, do music. Leave bad man life alone.
On that note, is a wrap for the showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Sumaya. Well, for more entertainment stories, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is sport.
It is sports here on JoyNews Today with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullah. President of the Ghana Football Association, Kejetia Kriku, has been voted onto the CAF Executive Committee following the Confederation of African Football elections earlier today. Mr. Okriku's tenure as a member of the Executive Committee starts effective immediately and will end in 2029. Kejetia Kriku contested for a role unopposed after representing Wafu Zone B, following an agreement with the president of Nigerian FA, Hamid Jibrila, who had agreed to contest for the position of a FIFA counsel and leave the CAF Wafu Zone B representative role at the Confederation of African Football. So Kejetia Kriku is now a member of the CAF Executive Committee. Meanwhile, the Confederation of African Football President, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, he is also beginning his second tenure as president of the football governing body in the continent, with immediate effect after he also went unopposed to continue as president of CAF. And UEFA Champions League football returns tonight. Arsenal comes up against PSV. The manager of Arsenal is Mikel Arteta. He says he's not under any pressure to win the competition for the Gunners.
But as well understanding as well how the game was played a week ago, and the fact that everything went in the right direction for us from the beginning, and we're going to have to end it right tomorrow to go in the same direction. So fully focused on that.
It's probably a little bit strange coming into a game where you have a 6-goal lead to be asking about chance creation and finishing, but is there anything you can do to improve on the way the team has been building up and taking chances?
Yes, for sure. There is always improvement, and from the other day as well, we already talked about a lot of situations that that we could have done better because the situations are there. But that's it. It's about execution in football, and it's what you can do X. And my job is to give the team as many tools as possible, reassurance and confidence as well, that we can deliver again.
And just finally, from me, does focus go even more onto the Champions League now in the position you're in, considering the position you are in the Premier League, 15 points behind? Is this the only realistic chance left of a trophy?
Well, it's a competition that we have a lot of enthusiasm, put in a lot of energy, we're very consistent, and winning tomorrow puts us in a very good position. That's it.
That is your sports. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. MFI is standing by with the rest of the news.
News today with me, MFI Akosia Adeti. But for more news, though, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for choosing us. So please stay for the marketplace.